Hi, my name is Jeff. I'm 39 years old, and I work as a lawyer at a large law firm in downtown New York. I live in a spacious apartment in Manhattan with my wife Amanda, whom I've been with for almost 15 years. We don't have children yet, although we've discussed this issue several times. Lately, our marriage has been going through tough times. Amanda, like me, is building a successful career in finance. She's constantly at work, stays late, goes on business trips. I understand that this is important for her, but I feel that we're drifting apart. We catastrophically lack time for communication, for shared activities, and pleasures. I told my mother-in-law Barbara about my concerns when she came to stay with us for a few days. We've always been on good terms. I value her wisdom and kindness. Barbara listened attentively and sympathized. Jeff, dear, I understand how difficult it is for you. Amanda is all about work and you feel lonely. That's not how it should be in marriage. Would you like me to help you with housework while I'm staying with you? I'll at least take some load off you. I see you're completely worn out. I was touched by her participation and gratefully accepted the offer. It was indeed difficult for me to combine my legal practice with household chores and now also with the discord in the family. Any help seemed like salvation. That's what we decided. Barbara took over cooking, cleaning, and shopping while Amanda wasn't home, and I was able to focus more on work and distract myself a bit from sad thoughts. The presence of my mother-in-law and her care had a calming effect. I felt more peaceful and confident. The days flew by. Barbara and I spent a lot of time together while Amanda was away at work. We cooked dinners together, chatted about everything under the sun, watched old movies. It turned out that we had a lot in common, from favorite books to views on life. It was surprisingly easy and pleasant to communicate with my mother-in-law. She seemed to understand me without words. You know, Jeff, I've always dreamed of having a son. Don't get me wrong, I love Amanda madly, but I missed having a male shoulder next to me, especially after the divorce from Richard, Barbara once admitted, stirring the sauce for spaghetti. Really? I would never have thought. You're such a strong and independent woman, Barbara, I said, surprised. We all deep down dream of being cared for and looked after. And I, believe me, am no exception. My mother-in-law smiled sadly. I'm glad you became part of our family, Jeff. You're a real gift of fate. Her words made my heart feel warm and calm. I was glad myself that we had become closer with Barbara during these days. Her wisdom, sensitivity, and care helped me cope with my longing for Amanda and difficulties at work. Next to my mother-in-law, I felt protected, needed, valued. Gradually, our communication became more confidential and personal. Barbara told me about her life, about her difficult childhood and unsuccessful marriage, about how much effort she put into raising and educating Amanda. And I shared my fears and doubts, worries about my relationship with my wife. My mother-in-law always found the right words to comfort and encourage me. She patted my shoulder, looked into my eyes, and I physically felt her warmth and participation. This made me feel better, and problems no longer seemed so unsolvable. One evening, we stayed up late in the kitchen, discussing my latest failure in court. I was upset and depressed, blaming myself for losing an important case. Barbara patiently listened to my complaints and then covered my hand with hers and said quietly, Jeff, stop it. You're an excellent lawyer and a wonderful person. You can't always be a winner. Failures temper us and make us stronger. I believe in you and I know you'll manage. Her words seemed to burn me. Barbara's eyes were filled with so much tenderness and warmth that it took my breath away. Suddenly I caught myself wanting to hug her, pull her close, inhale the aroma of her hair. This desire was so sharp and unexpected that I felt embarrassed and looked away. What's wrong with me? Am I starting to feel attracted to my own mother-in-law? This is wrong. It shouldn't be like this. I love Amanda and can't betray her trust. I need to pull myself together urgently and get these thoughts out of my head. For the next few days, I carefully avoided Barbara. I stayed late at work, cited urgent matters, just to avoid being alone with her. I was ashamed of my thoughts and desires. I scolded myself for a moment of weakness. What kind of husband am I if I fantasize about my mother-in-law while my wife is working around the clock? But as they say, you can't command your heart. As soon as I was left alone with Barbara in the same room, my good intentions melted away like smoke. I caught myself admiring her sculpted figure, radiant eyes, dimples on her cheeks when she laughs. Barbara seemed to have grown younger and blossomed over these days, radiating some inner glow. One evening, Amanda was late at work again, warning that she would be very late. Barbara and I had dinner together and decided to watch a movie in the living room. We chose an old romantic comedy with Audrey Hepburn, my mother-in-law's favorite actress. We settled on the couch, and I accidentally brushed against Barbara with my elbow, reaching for the blanket. She shuddered and looked at me in a new way, with hidden interest. It was as if a spark passed between us. The air suddenly thickened and became heavier. "Sorry, I didn't mean to," I mumbled, embarrassed. "It's okay, Jeff. Everything's fine," Barbara replied softly, not taking her eyes off me. In a moment, her lips pressed against mine in a long kiss. I froze, stunned, unable to believe in the reality of what was happening. This is a dream, a delusion, an obsession. My mother-in-law can't really be kissing me. But no, this is not a dream. Barbara was indeed clinging to me with her whole body, greedily digging into my lips, messing up my hair. And I, as if under hypnosis, began to respond to the kiss, pulling her close. What followed is remembered in snatches, as if in some dream. Hot embraces, passion that enveloped us, the frantic beating of hearts in unison. It seems we were no longer aware of ourselves, giving in to the mad, intoxicating current of forbidden feeling. The world ceased to exist. There were only us, intertwined in the ecstasy of union. It was madness, bright, intoxicating, knocking the ground from under our feet. When it was over, the realization of what had happened hit me. God, what have I done? Slept with my mother-in-law, betrayed Amanda, violated all conceivable norms of morality. How could I give in to this momentary impulse? Now I have to bear this burden of guilt and shame for the rest of my life. Barbara, listen, this is a mistake. What happened is wrong. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have given in, I babbled, frantically pulling on my clothes. Oh, Jeff, stop it. Let me guess. Now you're going to start self-flagellation? We're adults and we know what we want. And then, was it bad or disgusting? Barbara smirked, buttoning her blouse. I looked at her and didn't recognize her. Where was the kind, sensitive mother-in-law I was used to seeing? Now before me was a calculating, cynical woman who had gotten what she wanted. That's not the point. We shouldn't. It's immoral. Amanda trusts both of us and we're betraying her, I argued heatedly. Oh, come on, Jeff. Who cares what we're doing here? Amanda won't even know. She doesn't notice anything around her lately. Relax and enjoy, Barbara parried. I shuddered at these words. It seems my mother-in-law is not as simple and virtuous as I imagined. But worst of all was that I secretly longed for the continuation of this vicious, forbidden relationship. And this thought terrified me to the core. The next few weeks turned into one endless Groundhog Day for me. Barbara and I continued to meet in secret, stealing moments of intimacy when Amanda wasn't home. I scolded myself, made vows to end this shameful affair, but as soon as I saw my mother-in-law, I forgot about all good intentions. It was some kind of drug addiction, a dark and caustic obsession. Next to Barbara, I lost my will, my bearings, my sense of reality. Her touches and kisses seemed to erase all boundaries of what was permissible, pushing me into the abyss of vice. During the day, I pretended to be an exemplary husband. At night, I burned with passion in my mother-in-law's embrace. I lied to Amanda, invented alibis, covered the tracks of my double life. I had never had to dodge and be hypocritical like this before. I was disgusted with myself. Barbara, on the other hand, was enjoying the situation, reveling in her power over me. She openly provoked, flirted, hinted at our pleasures in the presence of my wife. I was thrown from hot to cold with fear of exposure. "Mom, weren't you planning to leave in a few days? You've stayed with us for quite a while," Amanda asked in surprise during dinner. "Oh dear, how can I leave you unsupervised? You've completely lost control, not taking care of the apartment. I'm helping Jeff here, cleaning, washing, cooking," Barbara replied in a syrupy voice, imperceptibly stroking my knee under the table. I was covered in sweat, hiding my confusion. At night, I was tormented by nightmares in which Amanda learned the truth and made ugly scenes. During the day, I was beside myself, avoided my wife, shied away from her caresses. The feeling of guilt was eating me from the inside, poisoning every minute of my existence. Probably my state was noticeable from the outside, because Amanda began to suspect something. She started paying more attention to my nervousness, detachment, asking uncomfortable questions. "Jeff, is everything okay? You haven't been yourself lately. Maybe something happened at work," she inquired, looking into my eyes. No, everything's fine, sunshine. I'm just very tired, lots of work," I mumbled, averting my gaze. Lying to my beloved wife's face was unbearable. She's not guilty of anything. She doesn't deserve such betrayal. It's me. I alone am to blame for everything. Got involved with my mother-in-law, stained our marriage, destroyed the family. There will be no forgiveness for me. One day Amanda returned from work earlier than usual and caught Barbara and me in the kitchen. We weren't doing anything reprehensible, just drinking tea and talking. But my wife sensed the tension hanging in the air, noticed our embarrassed faces. Well, lovebirds, what are you whispering about here?" she asked sarcastically, crossing her arms on her chest. "Mom, aren't you overdoing it? Have you forgotten that Jeff is my husband, not yours?" Barbara just laughed in response, but somehow maliciously and unpleasantly, as if Amanda had said something incredibly stupid. "Oh, darling, Jeff and I just have something to talk about while you're not around. Don't be jealous. He just needs female attention," she purred. I went cold. Is Barbara deliberately provoking her daughter, asking for a scandal? Does she want everything to be revealed? I felt sick at this thought. Amanda narrowed her eyes and looked at me intently. In her gaze, I could read confusion, distrust, and pain. God, if only she doesn't guess, I won't bear her contempt and hatred. "Jeff, we need to talk seriously. You're hiding something from me. I can see it," Amanda said through clenched teeth, turning on her heels, and she proudly retreated to the bedroom. I stood as if struck by thunder. It seems my wife was starting to guess everything. I urgently needed to cover my tracks, come up with a plausible story, or better to confess everything and beg for forgiveness. I wanted to howl from the contradictions tearing me apart. Lies, understatement, and fear of exposure hung over our house like a thundercloud. Amanda and I grew apart, as if we were living in parallel universes. Conversations became scarce and abrupt, caresses, mechanical and forced. I know my wife suspected that something was wrong with me, but she couldn't yet understand exactly what was the matter. Perhaps she was afraid of the truth, didn't want to destroy the fragile world of the family. But the tension grew day by day and threatened to break out in an ugly scandal. I almost stopped communicating with Barbara, reducing our meetings to a minimum. I just couldn't. I was afraid of getting bogged down in the quagmire of vice completely, and the pangs of conscience became quite unbearable. I understood that I had to break off this dirty affair before it was too late, but my mother-in-law, it seems, had developed a taste for it and wasn't going to let me go. She continued to call and write text messages, inviting me over, either for tea, or to help with the computer, or under some other ridiculous pretext. I started avoiding her, citing busyness. One day she finally cornered me. She called during the day and said she was lying with a high fever and asked me to bring medicine. I got worried, collected a first aid kit, and rushed to her at full speed. But a surprise was waiting for me on the threshold. Opening the door, Barbara dragged me into the apartment and pressed me against the wall in the hallway. I dropped the bag with medicines in surprise. "What, scared? Thought your old mother-in-law was really sick?" "As if," she hissed in my face. "Why aren't you answering the phone, running away from me? Barbara, listen, this can't go on anymore. We must end our relationship. It's wrong, immoral." "Amanda has almost guessed everything," I pleaded, trying to free myself from her embrace. "No way! You won't get rid of me so easily. You think you've had your fun and you'll leave? It won't work," Barbara hissed, her eyes flashing. "Let's not do anything stupid, or I'll tell my daughter everything myself." I was taken aback. What a turn. It turns out my mother-in-law is quite a bitch. Not only did she drag me into bed, but she's also blackmailing me with exposure. Where did the kind, understanding Barbara I knew go? Was it all just a mask to lure me into her nets? "Please don't. You understand that Amanda will go crazy with grief. I can't do this to her," I pleaded. "Let's part on good terms. Forget about everything. I promise to keep silent. No one will know." "Oh, on good terms. It won't work, dear. You're mine, period. And if you resist, you'll regret it. Or have you forgotten what letters with confessions you wrote to me? Do you think your daughter will enjoy reading them?" Barbara whispered threateningly. Damn! How could I forget about those idiotic letters sent in my youth and stupidity? They had long decayed in memory, and now they surfaced at the most inopportune moment. Barbara had me by the throat. There was no doubt about that. Barbara, come to your senses. What are you doing? You're a mother. Your heart should ache for your daughter. And you not only took her husband away, but you're also blackmailing, I exclaimed in despair. But my mother-in-law just laughed in response, maliciously and hysterically. Her eyes flashed with an unkind fire. Are you stupid, Jeff? Mother, not mother. What's the difference? I'm also a woman, and I want to be loved and desired. And my daughter thinks too much of herself. Stuck-up career woman, so she'll get a flick on the nose, she spat out. Her words made my hair stand on end. What does this mean? Barbara deliberately seduced me to spite her daughter? What a family! And I, like an idiot, fell for it like a boy. I'm in up to my ears. No, Barbara, I can't do this. I'd better confess everything to Amanda right away. It will be honest, I said resolutely, pushing my mother-in-law away, and I'll deal with the consequences somehow. Better a terrible truth than such games. For a moment, confusion flashed in Barbara's eyes. It seemed she didn't expect such a turn. But then her gaze became hard and prickly again. Well, go ahead, confess. You'll only make it worse for yourself and for her, and you won't stop me anyway, she said through clenched teeth. The next few days passed as if in a fog. I was tossing and turning in a fever, not knowing what to do. Confess everything to my wife, beg for forgiveness, break up with Barbara, sending her to hell along with her blackmail, or resign myself and continue this vicious romance just so my mother-in-law would keep quiet? All these thoughts made my head spin. I couldn't sleep. Food wouldn't go down my throat. I lost weight, became absent-minded and nervous. Problems started at work due to inattention and mistakes. Life was going downhill, and I didn't know how to stop it. Amanda, of course, saw my condition. She cast long, searching glances at me, thinking about something intensely. Several times she started a conversation, trying to find out what was happening to me, but I kept silent or gave vague answers. I just couldn't. My tongue wouldn't turn to confess my betrayal. One evening, my wife was getting ready to go to the movies with her friends. She stood in front of the mirror, applying mascara. I sat in the armchair, staring at the TV. People were flickering on the screen, but I didn't see them. One thought was spinning in my head: how to live on with this burden on my heart. Jeff, we need to talk, Amanda suddenly said, turning to me. I can't pretend anymore that nothing is happening. I felt a jolt inside. Has she finally guessed? Here comes the moment of truth. Now she'll make a scene, shatter our marriage to pieces, and she'll be right. Yes, sunshine? What do you mean? I squeezed out, swallowing hard. I know, Jeff, about you and my mother. I've known for a long time, Amanda said dully, looking me in the eyes. My vision darkened. Here it is, it's started. Now reproaches, accusations, tears will pour out. I didn't even suspect how long and deeply our family had been stuck in this swamp of lies. How? I'm sorry, darling, I didn't mean to. I started babbling incoherently, lowering my eyes, but Amanda stopped me with a gesture. Her face was pale and haggard, but her gaze was surprisingly calm and determined. She slowly approached and sat on the armrest of my chair. Don't, Jeff. Don't degrade yourself. Don't make excuses. I know perfectly well that my mother is quite a bitch. She's always been jealous and petty, competing with me since childhood. Always trying to steal my boyfriends, to be better and more successful than me, Amanda said with a bitter smirk. I was stunned. Is she really not angry at all? Does she understand everything? How is this possible? But why did you keep silent? You knew for so long and kept silent, I exclaimed. What was the use of making scenes? Mom will do what she wants anyway. And then I saw how your conscience was tormenting you, how you were suffering and couldn't find peace, Amanda sighed. I'm not made of iron, Jeff. It was painful and hurtful, but you're not to blame for becoming a victim of her intrigues. And I didn't pay enough attention to you for too long. Forgive me. Tears welled up in my throat. God, how wise and magnanimous she is, my wife. And I, the scoundrel, dared to betray her. I buried my forehead in her knees, shaking with sobs, and she stroked my head and whispered something quietly. It's all right, darling. We'll manage. The worst is already behind us, Amanda comforted me. For the first time in a long time, I felt hope. Maybe we still have a chance to fix everything, to glue the pieces back together, to start anew. Amanda believed in me, forgave me. Isn't it a miracle? 2 months have passed since that evening. My wife and I set about repairing our relationship. We started talking more, spending time together. We went on dates like during the courtship period. We signed up for family psychotherapy courses. Slowly we learned to trust and understand each other again. Amanda took a vacation from work to be with me. We went to Europe for a couple of weeks, to travel, to enjoy each other's company. We walked through old streets, visited museums, fed pigeons in squares, and in the evenings we made love, slowly, tenderly, as if discovering ourselves anew for the first time. Gradually, the former warmth and trust began to revive between us. I fell in love with my wife again, admiring her intelligence, beauty, strength of spirit. Amanda was blossoming before my eyes, becoming more beautiful and younger. The mischievous sparkles reappeared in her gaze, and a sly smile on her lips. We broke up with Barbara once and for all. Amanda herself went to her mother and told her everything. She said that she would never forgive her and didn't want to know her anymore. She collected her things and put her out the door. At first, my mother-in-law raged, threw tantrums, threatened to tell everyone about our affair. But my wife and I made her understand that this wouldn't affect us. Eventually, Barbara resigned herself and left. We haven't seen or communicated with her since then, and thank God for that. I took care of the house and household so that Amanda could work peacefully. I learned to cook her favorite dishes, made surprises, surrounded her with attention. We talked a lot, heart to heart, about the past, present, future. We learned to listen and hear each other. Now I knew for sure that infidelity is not a way out of a crisis, but a one-way ticket. Problems should not be run away from, but solved together, supporting the loved one. Only in this way can you save the family and find true happiness. Of course, we're still not an ideal couple. We argue sometimes, quarrel over trifles. How can it be without that? But we've learned to forgive, to give in, to find compromises. Love is not a flash of passion, but daily care, respect, faithfulness. And I'm grateful to fate that Amanda was wise enough to forgive me and give me a second chance. Recently, we decided to have a child. We've been dreaming about it for a long time, but kept postponing, citing career and constant busyness. And now we realized it's time. No need to delay. Years are passing. We want to give birth for ourselves, for the continuation of the family, so that in old age we have someone to take care of and to whom to pass on our experience. You know, I used to be a complete coward. I got used to running away from problems, burying myself in work, and if it became unbearable, I sought comfort on the side, as if you can run away from yourself. Thank you to Amanda for curing me of this spiritual cowardice. She taught me to look truth in the eyes, not to be afraid of my feelings and desires, to love with all my heart, to make mistakes, to admit mistakes with dignity. Now I know that there's nothing more terrible than lies, betrayal, and a double life. It slowly corrodes from within, deprives of peace and self-respect. That's my confession, friends. Bitter, unsightly, honest. I still can't believe that I was capable of such a thing, but apparently no one is immune from mistakes. It's important to draw the right conclusions from them. I still blame myself for that misconduct. I wasted the best years on it, almost lost my family, but I will never repeat this mistake. I will love Amanda, cherish every moment with her, in sickness and in health, in sorrow and joy, because true love is worth fighting for, until the last breath. Thank you to everyone who listened to my story. I hope it will help someone refrain from rash actions. We'll make them think about what's really important in life. Love your loved ones, cherish your family, and be faithful to yourself, to your loved ones, to eternal values. Because in the end, only this remains with us forever. Memory, the warmth of beloved eyes, the feeling of a loving shoulder next to you. Everything else is vanity and a chase for illusory happiness. Remember this. With this, I'll probably finish. Thank you for your attention, and until next time on air. Sincerely yours, Jeff Coleman, a sinner and a repentant husband. Did you like this story? Let us know in the comments what you liked. Subscribe to our storytelling podcast. Also, don't forget to like and ring the bell so you don't miss more interesting stories. See you soon.